I'm Andrew Scheps, and I make records. I first encountered SpectraLayers when I'd started mixing music in Atmos, because one of the things is sometimes the source material you get is not very broken up. So if someone sends you drums, vocals, and that's it, you just get 5 stereo stems, you can't really be creative. You can spread it out a little bit, but it's not what you want to do creatively. There are upmixing plugins and things which can spread stuff in the room, but again, you don't have very much control. So the very first time I ran into it is I was talking to somebody about how I just had stereo drums, but I wanted to take the room mics and lift them up and wrap them around a little bit, take the ambience of the kit. But anytime I did that using sort of traditional real-time signal processing, everything got very messy and the kick and the snare were destroyed. And they said, well, have you tried SpectraLayers? And I said, no, I have not. And I literally downloaded the demo. I put the stereo stem into SpectraLayers, saw the module unmix drums, hit go, and it was insane. It's the kind of thing that makes me happy, to hit one button and then it turns into what you wish you had. So that was the very first time, and so I used it on Atmos projects quite a bit for that sort of thing, stem separation, because sometimes you get a stereo mix and that's it. There are some recordings I've worked on which were recorded live in a club. There are no multitracks, so to be able to extricate little bits of it and move it around the room really changes how it feels. But now I've started using it on stereo productions quite a bit. You get overheads. It's a stereo recording, it's 2 microphones, and you do something to it to help the snare drum, and now the cymbals are destroying the mix. So I separate them, and I turn down the cymbals. And it's one of my favorite things, because it's the kind of thing that used to be a brick wall, and you would just beat your head against it and you would have to compromise. You would say, well, I can't do that to the snare because it makes the cymbals crazy. And now, in a minute, I have it all separated for the entire song, turn the cymbals down, do exactly what I was doing to the snare. And having it be bit accurate until you change it is the genius, so that I can flip back and forth between the separated and the non-separated, or just use the separated for parts of the song I don't need to change, and it's exactly the same as if I hadn't touched it. The first thing about version 12 is just the improvement in the algorithms. When I first got the beta, I immediately took a pretty dense rock mix and thought, well, let's just unmix song and see what happens. And it used to be there's a little bit of the watery thing, especially as you start to solo up different layers, and that has improved so much, like to the point where it was kind of scary. I unmixed the song, then I took the drum layer and unmixed that. And the addition of the toms layer being separate and the way things are split out, this drum kit is compressed. There is room that's on the entire kit. The snare is completely clean. The kick is completely clean. The toms are completely clean. Splitting the chorus after the fact, the lead vocal, which has lots of effects on it, is almost clean. And then the background vocals on the separate layer. The improvement is incredible. And then the unmixed instrument is something I've wanted for years, because these all work on training sets, and the training sets have to be somewhat generic. And to be able to have a training set for one track is absolutely mind-blowing. And the implications of that and what you're going to be able to split out using something where you've got a very noisy stereo straight to cassette recording of some old concert. During the bass solo, you can train on it, assuming there is a bass solo. There aren't a lot of bass solos, but let's say there's a bass solo. Then you can start to do the process that you're used to doing, but on source material that really wouldn't lend itself to the process before. There are also a few small things that really just help speed up the workflow. One is being able to copy or cut to a layer, where it used to be sort of a 3-step process: select it, copy it or cut it, select the other layer, make a new layer, paste it in, and now you can just go through, like we were talking about click bleed, select the clicks, put it on the click layer. And then you don't lose your flow. You're always just looking at the source layer and working on it. And also showing the frequencies in a logarithmic scale so it is more musical. That's something that sometimes makes a lot more sense to me. When I'm looking at harmonics, I'm used to seeing the spread. And for the harmonics tool to now work with that kind of scale just makes it much faster and more intuitive. So the thing about SpectraLayers that makes it different is the layers. So it's really, instead of thinking of it just as unmixing or the noise reduction where the noise just goes away, I am separating things into a multitrack, and the multitrack can keep growing. So I can separate first as one thing that I do, and once it's separated, now I can go back into the creative mode of what do I want to do with the separated bits. And it is just a way of working that makes perfect sense to me. So with SpectraLayers 11, it was obviously one of the best solutions out there. And then you're looking at workflow and things as what separates one from another. But with the new improvements to the unmixing algorithms in SpectraLayers 12, I haven't heard anything like it. And I've gone down the rabbit hole of the crazy stuff on the internet with Google collabs and things that aren't available commercially. And this is much better than anything else I've ever tried on complicated material.